Are you ready to become a Canadian citizen? Because today, we are putting your knowledge to the ultimate test. Welcome to our Canadian Citizenship Practice Exam Review. Think of this explainer as a high-energy, fast-paced study session. Whether you're literally cramming for the big test right now, or you're just curious about what it actually takes to call this amazing country home, you are in exactly the right place. So, welcome to this special explainer. Today, we're basically acting as your personal active recall study guide for the official Discover Canada material. We're going to take these massive, sometimes intimidating concepts of rights and responsibilities and break them down into crystal clear takeaways. Our goal, to lock this stuff into your memory as quickly and efficiently as possible. Here is our game plan for today. First, foundations, crown and law. Then, your fundamental Canadian rights. After that, core citizenship responsibilities. Next up, the oath. And finally, a practice exam so you can test yourself. All right, let's jump right into part 1, foundations, crown and law. Okay, so to really grasp how Canada works, there's a core fact you absolutely have to memorize right off the bat. Canada is a parliamentary democracy and a federal state. But what ties it all together? Well, Canadians are bound by a shared commitment to the rule of law. And that simply means that everyone, individuals and the government itself, are regulated by actual laws, not just the arbitrary whims of whoever is in charge. Literally no person or group is above the law in Canada. Now, here's a really fascinating piece of the puzzle. Canada is also a constitutional monarchy. That means our head of state is a hereditary sovereign, a queen or king who reigns according to the Constitution. It's a system that links Canada to 53 other nations in the Commonwealth. So the sovereign isn't just a figurehead. They serve as a vital symbol of Canadian sovereignty and act as the ultimate guardian of our constitutional freedoms. Let's move right along to part 2, your fundamental Canadian rights. Get your mental flashcards ready because you're going to want to lock these next points in tight. You see, Canadian rights didn't just magically appear overnight. They actually evolved over an 800-year tradition of ordered liberty. It all started way back in 1215 in England with the Magna Carta, also known as the Great Charter of Freedoms. From English common law, Canada also inherited habeas corpus, which is the crucial right to challenge unlawful detention. Fast forward all the way to 1982, and the Constitution of Canada was officially amended to entrench the modern Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Inside that charter, there are 4 fundamental freedoms you absolutely must know for the exam. Let's run through them. First, freedom of conscience and religion. Second, freedom of thought, belief, opinion, and expression. And yes, that includes freedom of speech and of the press. Third, freedom of peaceful assembly. And fourth, freedom of association. Commit those 4 to memory right now. But the real kicker here is that the Charter goes way beyond just those basic freedoms. It protects specific rights that are distinctly Canadian. We're talking about mobility rights, meaning you can choose to live and work absolutely anywhere in the country. It protects Aboriginal people's rights, making sure no charter right negatively impacts Indigenous treaties. Plus, it guarantees official language rights for both French and English, and proudly champions multiculturalism, making it crystal clear that respecting pluralism and living in harmony is just baked right into the Canadian identity. And we need to be absolutely clear on this foundational rule. In Canada, men and women are entirely equal under the law. The official study guide does not mince words here. It explicitly states that Canada's openness absolutely does not extend to barbaric cultural practices that tolerate spousal abuse, honor killings, or any other form of gender-based violence. Anyone guilty of these crimes faces severe punishment under Canadian criminal law, period. Equality is strictly non-negotiable. Okay, flipping the coin now. Section 3. Core citizenship responsibilities. So in Canada, getting to enjoy all those amazing rights we just talked about means stepping up and accepting some very specific responsibilities. Think of these as your civic duties. First up, obeying the law. Second, taking responsibility for yourself and your family. Third, serving on a jury. The entire justice system completely relies on impartial juries made up of everyday citizens. So it's a huge privilege that keeps the whole thing running. And fourth, voting in elections. Because having the right to participate in a democracy comes with a profound responsibility to actually get out there and cast your ballot. And honestly, citizenship really is all about active participation. Helping out others in the community, like giving blood or the millions of hours volunteers donate to charities, schools, and food banks, is a massive part of the Canadian fabric. On top of that, while military service isn't mandatory here, stepping up to serve in the Canadian Forces to defend Canada and its way of life is considered a deeply proud responsibility. Oh, and we all share a duty to protect our natural, cultural, and architectural heritage too. Let's transition to part 4, the oath. This is it, the final, spoken commitment that ties all those rights and responsibilities perfectly together. The oath of citizenship begins like this. I swear or affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty. Now you might be wondering, why a monarch? Well, in Canada, citizens profess their loyalty to a person who represents all Canadians, rather than pledging allegiance to a piece of paper or a geopolitical border. The sovereign personifies Canada, just as Canada is personified by the sovereign. It's a surprisingly simple, yet incredibly powerful principle of allegiance. All right, time to see what you've learned. Section 5, practice exam, test yourself. Let's find out how much of this explainer actually stuck. Here is a real, bona fide study guide question taken straight from the Discover Canada material. What are 3 responsibilities of citizenship? I'm going to give you just a second to search your memory, think back to that flashcard breakdown we did just a few minutes ago. Okay, let's run through the multiple choice options. Is it A, being loyal to Canada, recycling newspapers, serving in the military? Is it B, obeying the law, taking responsibility for oneself and family, serving on a jury? How about C, learning both official languages, voting, belonging to a union? Or is it D, buying Canadian, owning a business, using less water? Go ahead and lock in your final answer right now. And the correct answer is B, obeying the law, taking responsibility for oneself and one's family, and serving on a jury. Huge congratulations if you nailed that exact breakdown. Did you notice how options A, C, and D tried to trick you by mixing in generally good things, like recycling or buying Canadian? Good deeds, for sure, but they aren't the formal core citizenship responsibilities defined by the official guide. Let's throw one more rapid-fire question your way, just to test how these duties apply in the real world. Question: what are some examples of taking responsibility for yourself and your family? The answers, straight out of the book, are getting a job, taking care of one's family, and working hard in keeping with one's abilities. And hey, these aren't just polite suggestions, they are fundamental Canadian values. The guide makes it clear that by taking responsibility for yourself, you're not just building your own personal dignity and self-respect, you're actively contributing to Canada's overall prosperity. Which brings us to one final, big-picture question I want you to carry with you. Do you truly understand the balance between the rights you enjoy and the responsibilities you hold to keep this democracy thriving? Because at the end of the day, citizenship isn't just a piece of paper. It isn't just passing a single test. It's an active, living commitment to that 800-year-old tradition of ordered liberty we talked about today. If you missed a couple of questions, no sweat. Just loop back, review this explainer again, and lock these concepts in tight. Get yourself ready not just to ace the test, but to take on the truly profound duty of becoming a Canadian citizen.